Yeah, those four sort of turrets it's zoomed in on, they're the ones that were the old war towers they used in the war, and they end up becoming a very well known famous pirate radio station headquarters. I think in the 60s they became really popular for that. Yeah, so there used to be a pirate radio station out there. And then a bit further on to the left we have Southend. On the clear day you can see it, at night you can see all the pier lights. And then further to the right there's like a building that's collapsed. It used to be a post office that's sat on the edge of the cliffs, but there's so much erosion that's happened, the cliffs have just started collapsing, and probably 20 odd years ago, when I was a teenager, before that I think, maybe longer than that, the post office collapsed and fell to the floor. And you can go inside the building there, look around, and yeah, but there's a lot of memories here as a kid. I used to climb these cliffs here all the time as a kid. So one of my mates got his name Swampy because he got his legs stuck in the water that was running down, just for the mud, and his leg just got soaked in all the mud, so we ended up calling him Swampy. He called me Eagle Eye, or Eagle Man, because I used to lead the path and people would follow my path up to the top. But we used to climb there. There's a bit called, they used to call it Shoot Yourself Falls. I'll try and zoom in and show you, but this bit here used to have a slightly bigger peak just here, and that was called Shoot Yourself Falls. But it's all eroded away now. That's the building I told you about. South end would be somewhere over there on the coastline. Yeah, but we spent a lot of time climbing these cliffs. Great memories. So like, I guess it's like myths, or I guess it's like myths and legends as kids we used to talk about. Over there as well, inside that building, we used to talk about this bit where you stand there and it feels like you're spinning. And we end up coming up with loads of ghost stories and stuff about it. Yeah, like you're spinning around in circles. And there used to be a woods here as well, but most of that woods is eroded as well. But we'd walk through them woods up through the cliffs, and there'd be a pub a lot further up, and then we'd have a curry normally at the pub, me and my mates, and we'd play some pool. So that was good memories. I think I need to do a video. Actually, I'll park here, we'll walk up to the pub, have a meal there, and come back if it's still there. But I'll take you on the walk we used to do as kids. And there's another one to the Arty Ferry. I think that could be another video. I'll take you there as well. But yeah, that building though, when you stand in it, because it's at a weird angle, it's sort of like this. When you stand in there, it does still make you feel disorientated. It's a strange feeling. Got so many memories of this place. And just here, this beach here, one time it was absolutely packed with people because there was a whale that had died and washed up on this bank, and it was a big massive whale, but there was people trying to take its teeth out of its mouth, doing just before mobile phones, so there was no selfies, but the old school phones, cameras, sorry, snapping them, Polaroids and that. But yeah, they were taking teeth out of its mouth as souvenirs. A bit barbaric really, but yeah. And then just up here, that's actually Laysdown Beach, and that's where all the amusements are still. People do mock the Isle of Sheppey, but it's still one of my favourite places. And a bit further round, you've seen the previous video when I was on the boat. There's the SS Richard Montgomery, or the Montgomery, in 1944, 1945. It was a US ship, I believe, that sunk, carrying lots of munitions and explosives. And it sunk on the Thames, or the river, the estuary bit leading into it just before, because this river that comes in, it branches off to multiple directions. You've got the River Medway, it goes off to the River Thames, and it also joins inside the North Sea. And the mast is still seen poking out the water. One of the masts, I believe, is slightly snapped now, but for a long time the MOD were taking bombs from there and exploding them offshore if they could. I used to hear them as a kid, boom, boom. But there was enough explosives there to really cause some effect, they were saying. They're not sure now if most of them would have eroded now and the water would have destroyed a lot of the fuses and explosives inside. We don't know. But apparently last year, even recently, one of the bombs they believe came off and floated across the sea and exploded somewhere near Whitstable. So it still seems like it's active. And even though it's like 70 years old, nearly 80 years old. No, it would be 80 years old. It's yeah, it's still active, it seems like. That's mad, isn't it? So they have it cordoned off. You can do tours around the area, but you can't go down there or near it really, because it, you know, it could go. So what do you think? Would you like to see videos walking up the cliffs? I think the pub was called the WWII. I'm sure it's called the WWII actually, yeah. What do you think of that? Taking a day trip like up to the WWII, the walk up there, see what it's like, how much of it's changed. I still remember a little duck pond just before you got there. Well, not a pond, but a path that ran over, and then to either side there was water that ran and there was ducks. Remember that? And back then we didn't know about the bread thing, so you'd have leftover food from your dinner in the pub, and on the way back we would feed the ducks that leftover food, so it'd be bread. I can't remember what else it was, but it's normally bits of bread and that. Obviously now you're told not to, but we didn't know that. We're talking 25, 30 years ago. Everyone fed ducks and birds bread. Yeah, what do you think? Would you like to see that? I'd like to do it anyway, so I might just film it. And then I think I'd like to also do the Hearty Ferry that I used to walk to. You can just drive there now, because apparently it's quite a nice location. I think they do a lot of weddings and events there. It's probably miles different to when I used to go there as a kid. So I'd probably park up somewhere and maybe try and do the walk again. It's a shame I'm not in contact with any of the people I knew back then 20 odd years ago. So it would be quite fun and cool if all the youngsters back then, that are all now in their 30s and 40s, all met up just to do those two walks, and we filmed it all like a catch-up thing. That'd be quite funny. Yeah, that would be quite funny. Yeah. I just wanted to show this anyway. It's only a short video. Ardasheppi gets a lot of stick, and it is a bit grotty, I guess, at times. Some bits, maybe. I don't know. Like the amusement park's a bit rough and ready. But I have so many nice memories of this place. Much nicer than London when we used to live there. I loved coming down here on the weekends. Maybe that's what it is, the boyhood nostalgia that I still have. Reminds me of those times. But yeah, it's a great place. But anyway, let me know if you want to see those videos. I'll try and fit them in. It'll be nice. And maybe we can do a little tour of the Ardasheppi, different areas: Minster Lees, Sheerness, Laysdown-on-Sea, Sheerness, the Hearty Ferry bit, and maybe look at all the local attractions around there, the history, and maybe do a day in each one. Might take like 6 weeks, but if we do one a week, we can do a little tour of each part and share the Ardasheppi with more people. It's a great place. Definitely a nice place to visit. A lot of holiday camps. The only sad thing about the Ardasheppi is that it's eroding quite substantially as well. Like since the Roman times, I know that's obviously a few thousand years now, but I think they said like over 30% of the land is no longer there, and it is eroding more and more over time. So a lot of people that used to have shaddies on the coasts are losing them because the coastal area is eroding. That's why you see a lot of these large stones around the beaches now, but they put in about 15 years ago, maybe a bit more, to try and stop a bit of it. But the cliffs, they're like, I don't know if it's clay and chalk sort of cliffs, not like Dover, but more, but they just flop and fall. But yeah, we'll do a video of each little bit of area, and I can research a bit more into the history and tell you a bit more about it, and then combine it with a bit of like my own memories. Maybe it'll bring back some extra memories. I think that'd be quite cool. It's been one of those Sundays, like I did one delivery, my signal wasn't working, and I just weren't feeling it. I'm kind of mentally done with food delivery. I've been doing it for 4 years, and I still do it here and there because it does earn you a bit of extra. I think in the future we'll see some more videos about what I've been doing alongside food deliveries as the next step of like how I'm going to try and make money with a couple of business ideas. I've got brands I'm working on, and obviously the book writing, fiction and non-fiction. And I've also I used to help people in internet marketing grow their businesses and their brands, and after being messed around a couple of times, I kind of just put it to the side, got disheartened with it. I was like, I've had enough of this. You know, you help people and they just sort of crap on you. And I always undercharged massively, undercharged, over-delivered, and then got exploited for it. And I'm going to rework on this, and with the book that I'm writing on this future way of promoting yourself, which some people talk about, but they're not fully on it yet. And I think I'm going to get this book out now before it becomes mainstream. So that's taken a while, but start choosing clients and working with them one-to-one through courses, more like consultations and mentorship sort of chats, meetings, and maybe I can do some hands-on stuff like DIY. Like when I say DIY, I mean like website stuff, helping them with the bits they can't technically do. But the focus will be more on getting them in the right direction with what they're doing. So I've got a client at the moment I'm working with, and the strategy of this has been focused on growing him through Google business reviews, and using Google PPC, Google Ads, and that's working very well. So maybe I can document some of that with their permission and sort of show you. People don't realise reviews have always been important, but people don't realise now how important reviews and authenticity and credentials are going to be in the next 10 years, over the next 10 years, even more. Google obviously brought out this EEAT formula for looking at websites, algorithm, looking at expertise and authority, trust, and with the reviews and all this, it's going to be even higher. And with the AI coming out so much, there's going to be so many people exploiting AI to grow, make quick money. But Google's already aware of this, and it's ahead of the sort of game. So Google wants trust, it wants authority, it wants expertise. So you're going to have to get the legitimate reviews. Google's going to be scanning review sites. It's going to be scanning your website for credentials. If you can list like your certificates and qualifications within your website with the governing bodies, it's going to build that authority and trust. But this is something we can speak about in the future on the channel, here and there, as I make this next step, as I transition from doing this food delivery into a new process. But we'll go over that over time. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll get working on this next step then, and I'll show you different tours of the Isle of Sheppey. And once we do Sheppey, maybe we'll branch out to other locations as well in the UK, work our way around. It's exciting, it's good. And if you're ever interested in growing your own brand or your own business from scratch and you have no knowledge, then send me an email, give me a message, and we can just start going through it and see if actually we can work together and I can help you. Take care.